Coming into their Week 5 matchup with the Eagles, the Rams' passing attack was second in passing yards, averaging 288 per game and 11th in yards per attempt at 7.4, all while missing Cooper Kupp. Meanwhile, the Eagles' pass defense was facing questions, having allowed almost 300 passing yards to Sam Howell the week prior. In the end, the Eagles' defense was up to the task, holding the Rams to 222 yards through the air while only allowing 6 yards per attempt, which would rank 28th in the NFL. So how were the Eagles able to hold Matt Stafford and the Rams' offense down? When game planning for Sean McVay's offense, figuring out how you're going to defend their bunch and stack alignments is a priority, and there was reason for concern, considering how much trouble these alignments gave the Eagles last week. But the Eagles had a good game plan. When looking at the Rams' offense, they often used bunch sets as a way to get the number one receiver open on a dig route. They would usually do this by essentially running a dagger concept, where an inside receiver would run a clear out route to create space inside, and an underneath receiver would hold the flat defender. The inside route was usually a crossing route, whether they started with a vertical release before crossing or crossing immediately at the snap of the ball. The underneath route was often an option route, but sometimes it was just a flat route. The Eagles used a variety of different methods, but their goal was to take away the primary route, which was the dig, and force the ball underneath. One way the Eagles did this was with their box check. This is a very common check among all levels of football when the defense is in a split field coverage, like cover 4 or cover 6, and allows the defense to match the routes of the receivers. The corner will take the first receiver that runs deep and outside, the safety will take the first receiver that runs deep and inside, the nickel will take the first receiver that runs short and outside, and the middle linebacker will take the first receiver that runs short and inside. You can see Reed Blankenship signaling that they're going to play box coverage. Notice on this play, the inside clear out route from the receiver begins with the vertical stem. With no threat inside and underneath, this allows the linebacker to sink into the window where the dig is designed to hit. Reed is able to stay over top of the crossing route while the backside safety layers underneath to help take away the throwing window. Stafford's primary target is taken away, and with quick pressure, he doesn't have time to wait for anyone else to come open before scrambling into a sack. Later in the game, you can see Evans and Slay making the signal for a box call when the Rams motion into their bunch set again. But this time, it plays out a little differently, with a clear out route now taking a more inside release as opposed to a vertical release on the first play we looked at. The linebacker now matches with the crossing route, carrying him underneath while the backside safety leverages the route from over top. In the tight view, you can see Evans pointing inside as he recognizes the inside release of the receiver running the crossing route. That now frees up the strong side safety to sit in the window for the dig this time around. The receiver ends up running a corner route instead, but Slay is in position to take that away since he knows he doesn't need to worry about chasing the dig with Evans helping inside. The ball is forced to go underneath, where the Eagles can rally and tackle for a short gain. The Eagles play box to this look twice, and both times played out differently. This may have been a coaching adjustment they made on how they wanted to handle this situation, but I think the way this played out was based on the release of the crossing route. It was clear the Eagles wanted to take away the dig route as they ran another look that was intended to put a different defender in the throwing window. The Eagles ran cover 3 buzz with a strong side rotation, meaning the safety to the bunch would drop into the middle hook zone, with Slay playing the outside deep third and Eli Ricks playing the flat. During the motion into bunch, you can see Slay signaling to Evans with a point to the ground. Now Evans is dropping into the window for the dig, allowing Slay to again leverage the wide receiver as he converts his dig to a corner route. The backside hook defender is now playing what's called a 3-up technique. It's a trips adjustment where the backside hook defender carries the number 3 receiver vertical on any crossing route. He again has help over top from the backside safety as he rotates to the middle of the field. The ball goes where the defense wants it, underneath on 3rd and 8. Ricks is too soft in his coverage though. He's playing with too much outside leverage, allowing Kupp enough space to convert this for a first down. I'll touch more on this later. We see the same look from the Eagles later in the game. As the Rams motion, again, you see Slay pointing to the ground with Evans buzzing to the hook. The Rams want to attack the same window using a different look, so they run a curl flat variation instead of a dig, but 2 people run the curl while nobody runs the clear out. This wasn't the first time this has happened to the Rams. Regardless, rotating the safety down to the bunch allowed the Eagles to put a player in the throwing window. The Eagles complement their coverage with good pass rush to prevent Stafford from getting through his progression. In all of these variations, the Eagles are using 5 defenders to cover 3 players. The Eagles do this again, this time running cover 1 to the bunch. They man up the corner, nickel, and safety to the bunch, using the whole defender to help take away the window for the dig, while the post safety is leveraging himself to help on the crossing route. This again works to take away the Rams' favorite bunch concept, but allocating 5 defenders for 3 receivers puts stress on the backside, as oftentimes those defenders aren't receiving much, if any, help. When you have all pro corners allowing allowing them to play on an island helps out the rest of the defense. You have to live with the fact that they will get beat sometimes. The Eagles threw in a couple of other changeups, like sending a 5-man blitz while playing cover 3 behind it. Bradbury does a nice job here, anticipating that the Rams are going to run the dig route and knowing that is probably where the ball is going, with nobody to help leverage the route inside. They also ran a cover 0 changeup, sending 6 guys at Stafford while playing man coverage behind it. Bradbury, Roby, and Blankenship do a nice job communicating and sorting the release of the receivers. The Eagles had one other adjustment to the bunch looks the Rams used, but this is one that needs to be worked on, as there were some communication issues, though I really like the concept. The Eagles are showing a simulated pressure look where they appear that they're going to bring 5 rushers, but at the snap of the ball, they drop a first-level defender into pass coverage. This player dropping in coverage is often known as a bonus dropper, and it adds a new layer to the defense. When you think about zone coverage, generally defenses are designed to cover 2 layers, the deep layer and the intermediate layer, leaving the underneath layer open, opting to force throws short where the defense can rally to the ball. Using a bonus dropper puts a defender in that underneath layer, adding a new wrinkle to the defense. Usually, these bonus droppers will be tasked with collecting underneath routes like drag routes, allowing the second layer defenders to take away intermediate routes. This is a great way to defend against concepts designed to put defenders in conflict by creating high-low situations. Considering that bunch formations are often trying to create high-low scenarios, using bonus droppers against these formations is a great strategy. The Eagles threw a changeup and are playing a form of cover 3 using a bonus dropper here. While this play should have been a catch, the Eagles should have had tighter coverage as well. The Rams are running a good play to attack a typical box concept they would see against bunch. They use a drag route to take away the inside defender of the box, a vertical release to hold the 2 deep defenders on the box, and then run a stick China route where the intended receiver presses the outside leverage of the underneath defender that is matching anything outside before breaking back into the void that was created. The Eagles aren't running their box coverage though, and adding the bonus dropper should make this a harder throw. But the Eagles have some issues in coverage. First, Slay and Roby are pointing to Evans, thinking he is supposed to be buzzing down like the previous cover 3 plays we saw, but Evans can't drop down because of how the coverage is supposed to be run. There's nobody to rotate to the middle, as Reed is having to guard the running back, releasing to the other side. Second, 2 defenders end up following the drag route across the field. Someone has to follow the drag as Bradbury and Reed are manned up on the backside, but that needs to be sorted between Nolan Smith and Nicholas Morrow. I can't definitively say how the Eagles want this sorted, but considering the point of a bonus dropper is to collect underneath routes, I think Nolan should be matching the drag route across the field, while Morrow works back to the bunch side once he recognizes the drag. He gets over there eventually and does put a hit on the receiver, but he's a few steps late and this ball should have been caught. On the first drive of the game, the Eagles again use a bonus dropper to the bunch, but again, there's some sort of miscommunication. I can't say who is at fault here, if it's even just one person, or even definitively what the coverage is supposed to be. It sort of looks like they want to run a box coverage with the way Reed is playing, but you generally don't get box checks in cover 3. Cooper Kupp's gravity pulls Mario Goodrich inside, even though Derek Barnett drops into the throwing window. I imagine he's supposed to be playing the flat, but Bradbury never takes his eyes off the guy running the quick out to the flat until he breaks for the ball, and nobody takes Puka Nacua running the corner route. Either way, whatever I theorize doesn't matter. What does matter is that in both instances where the Eagles try to use a bonus dropper, they had issues with communication and playing their assignments. That's something that will need to get cleaned up going forward. The Rams offense also uses a significant amount of stack sets, and that was something that gave the Eagles issues last week as well. Their primary strategy this week was to use cover 1. The Eagles would often shade the inside hole player to Cooper Kupp's side to help take away any quick throws before working back to the middle. In addition to that, having Kupp in stack alignments made it easier for the Eagles to match up Slay or Bradbury on him. Neither one of those guys traditionally go into the slot to cover receivers, so putting Kupp in so many stacks made it easy for the Eagles to put their 2 best corners on him for much of the game. The Eagles also saved a call for late in the game, where they played man coverage and used one of the safeties to help double Kupp. The Eagles also did a good job adjusting to the Rams' fast motion. They recognized on film that the overwhelming majority of the time that the Rams used fast motion into a stack look, that the motioning receiver would release inside. On several plays, you can see the press defender in coverage tap his helmet to signal he's going to take that motioning receiver. Their man coverage strategy overall was a success. They did give up 1 long play to Kupp, but other than that, the Eagles held the Rams to 2 completions on 10 attempts for 20 yards, with 1 sack when using man coverage against the Rams' stack alignments. The Eagles did utilize zone coverage on 6 of the formations that used stack looks and gave up 5 completions. 3 of those completions were screens, which also occurred all 3 times that the Eagles ran a zone blitz against a stack look. They'll need to disguise their blitzes a little better when facing these kind of formations in the future. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the impact that Bradley Roby had on the defense overall. I don't think it was a big big coincidence that the Eagles held the Rams to 81 yards in the second half. Yes, the Eagles possessed the ball for much of the second half, but they still held the Rams to 2.8 yards per play in the third and fourth quarter. Roby played 19 of his 25 snaps in the second half. Roby is just a better player than Ricks and Goodrich right now. I don't think Ricks is the best option for the slot, as he doesn't have the desired short area quickness you'd like. From what I've seen, it looks like his body type and athleticism is better suited for the outside, where he can press up on players and use his length. Goodrich just isn't there yet with his overall technique and understanding of the game. Roby is simply the best slot corner this team has right now, and it's pretty clear. He has the necessary short area burst to react to quick changes in direction and to close on routes underneath. He also has great long speed and willingness to trust that speed to tighten up in coverage. He's a former first-round pick with 10 years of experience playing for several top 5 defenses with a Super Bowl trophy to back it up. He has the knowledge and experience necessary to communicate and play within an elite secondary that those young guys just can't match right now. Roby also brings a versatility to the secondary that will allow Desai to get creative, but also provide the Eagles with more options in case Slay or Bradbury were to miss time. This Bradley Roby signing is a big signing for the Eagles. Nick Sirianni said he wanted to limit Roby's playing time since this was his first week practicing with the team since summer, but I'd expect him to assume the starting nickel job next week. Overall, the Rams used bunch or stack alignments on 28 of their 42 dropbacks. If the Rams were to play this game again, I think they would have used less bunch and stack alignments, considering they were able to get Kupp matched up against the Eagles' lesser slot corners when in standard 2x2 or trips formations, or linebackers when in empty. But the Eagles showed a lot of improvement in their handling of bunch and stack alignments. Every week is a test and opportunity to grow, and the Eagles showed a lot of growth from the week prior. As the weeks go on, we should expect to see this defense continue to get better.